So it's that time of year again, Black Friday. I know you're probably already sick of hearing that phrase. The sale started really early this year, but that does not stop it from being one of the best times to buy music production software and plugins. My Black Friday video last year was probably one of my most viewed videos, so I thought I'd do exactly the same this year. But if you didn't see that, well, I try and do these videos a little bit different. Rather than just give you a long list of plugins just because they're on sale, every one of these plugins are plugins that I use within my workflow and that I found to be really handy. And along the way, I'll give you some examples of how I use them, just so you know that it's not all BS. However, what you got to bear in mind is that I built up this collection over time during the course of my music career and bought them only when I've actually needed them. And I think that's key here. Don't just buy a plugin because it's on a deal. Buy it because you really see that it's going to help you in your production process. Anyway, enough of me waffling. Let's get into it. Right now, I'm gonna bring it back to the funk. Now, I've not really got an order for this list. It's kind of a bit random, but I kind of put the stuff that's most interesting and the stuff that I use the most at the top of the list. And one of those would be the Sub. When I bought this, I wasn't quite sure if I was going to use it, but honestly, it's found its way into so many of my productions, including being the bass line for my latest track, Let It Go. The Sub is a really simple bass instrument. It provides just a whole load of presets with just a few controls for you to kind of tweak them to how you want them. But they all fit really nicely in the mix, and I keep using this time after time in most of my tracks. And it's fairly cheap as well. Even at its normal price of $59, it's a really good buy, but it's now 50% off and you can get it for $29. Now, this price is also about the same on Plugin Boutique, and usually I kind of recommend people to get plugins from Plugin Boutique because when you actually buy the plugin, there's a few extra things you get with it. You get this kind of virtual cache. So when you're buying a plugin, for example, this one, which is about $30, you're actually going to make about $1 worth of virtual cache, which you can then use on a future purchase. And also, quite a lot of the time, you'll also get a free plugin with it. For example, at the moment it's Decoder or M Reverb. You choose which plugin you want as your freebie, and this is changing all the time. For example, these might be different plugins tomorrow. The best deal on here is definitely the Everything bundle. This gives you all of the plugins that Iceberg Audio make and also all the expansions for the Sub. It's $79 on their website or $81, $82 on Plugin Boutique. Not much difference there, but obviously you do get that virtual cache and you get the free plugin on Plugin Boutique. I'll put links to both of them below. If you want to get hold of anything that I mentioned in this video, I'm going to put links in the description below. I'll try and find you the best price possible. And actually, while we're talking about Sub bass, you can actually get Sublab, the plugin, for free when you take out a Loopcloud membership. And actually you get that Loopcloud membership for 2 months for $2. That's a really good deal. Even if you decide to cancel it after that, you still have Sublab for free. And don't fear, if you've already got a Loopcloud account, you can still get Sublab for free. Just log into your account on their website, go to your account page, and you'll see in there you'll actually get a code to get Sublab for free. You just go onto the Plugin Boutique website, put it in your cart, and then add that coupon, and there you go, you've got a free copy of Sublab. Also on discount at the moment is the big brother of Sublab, Sublab XL. You can get that for $50 at the moment rather than the $80 it is normally. However, I did notice something. If you use that Loopcloud subscription and get your free version of Sublab, you can actually upgrade to XL for less than $20. So you're getting a free version of Sublab and you're upgrading to XL for less than $20. And while we're talking about bass, I've got to mention Meatbeats. These are some amazing plugins for a really decent price. You got Orb Hits and Micro Piano, which are actually free downloads. These are kind of sampled instruments from old kit, and both of them are fantastic. For a free download, they're amazing. And while you're there, get Fem Basso. It's not actually on a Black Friday deal, but it's incredibly good value for money. For $10, you get this really kind of cool sampled bass instrument, and it's got some amazing patches in there. There's some killer presets in there, and for $10 it's a really good buy. Next up is a clipper by Plugins That Knock. This is from Decap. He knows his stuff about compression, about clipping, and this one It's got a really nice sound to it. I bought it instantly as soon as I heard it, and it's actually on half off at the moment. You got it for $15 from his website. I've actually just added it to the drums bus within my default template because it works that well. It really kind of glues the drums well together, and it gives it that kind of nice saturation as well. Speaking of stuff on my drums bus, the Vulf compressor is something I bought a little while back, and it's been on every single track since. It's within my template, and I absolutely love it. It is a compressor that works amazingly for your drums, and it gives it that kind of lo-fi old sampler kind of feel. It's not a cheap plugin at $150. Normally it's quite expensive, but it's on offer at the moment for $104, and for me it really kind of made the difference to my drums, especially my tops. So within my drums I have a top screw which basically has everything apart from the kick, and I usually put the Vulf compressor on there, and I kind of dial in about 30 to about 50% of it, and it just kind of warms the drums up a bit. It kind of gives them that nice kind of lo-fi kind of edge, takes some of the brightness off, but that kind of works nicely for my sound. Speaking of plugins I use all the time, TrackSpacer is amazing for me. I tend to use it to make room in my mixes for vocals. So for example, on my track Let It Go, on my tops groups, or my top drum loops, I've actually got TrackSpacer on there, and it's got a sidechain input coming from the vocals. So whenever the vocals are playing, whenever they're coming through, it kind of dips the drum loops, the kind of the hi-hats and the snares and things like that, to get out of the way of the vocals.
Let it go, let it go, let it go. Let it go, let it go, let it go. I got to let it go, let it go, let it go.
And it's actually on sale for Black Friday at 50% off, and at that price I definitely recommend picking up. For £26, or if you go over to Plugin Boutique, $24.95. Pretty much the same thing, but obviously on Plugin Boutique you get the free plugin as well. It's well worth picking up. It's one of those utilities I wouldn't want to be without. And whilst we're on WavesFactory, they actually have a sale on all of their plugins. Cassette looks really good. I've been tempted to pick that up for a while. It's a real kind of nice tape saturation thing. But also Spectre, this is another plugin which I love using. Again, it's all about kind of saturation and distortion, but you can kind of choose the frequencies. It's a very unique plugin, and you can pick that up again for 50% off. Next up, one of my favorite companies, Baby Audio. They release some amazing plugins, all of which I use within my productions. They just released Crystalline, it's a really amazing reverb, which again is working its way into most of my tracks now. Also, Smooth Operator is a really nice plugin, spectral kind of shaper. It's very similar to Soothe, for example, and I did a comparison of the two on my channel. This kind of came out really nicely. For the price, it's about half the price, if not a third the price of Soothe, and it does a really good job. Again, I did a whole video on that. I'll link it in the top right hand corner of the screen. iHeart NY, I love the original iHeart NY. This is the second version of it. Again, I did a review video of it, but it's another one of those ones that's found its way into my workflow. This is actually usually on my drums bus, and it gives that nice bit of saturation, distortion, and also TAIP. This is an amazing saturation plugin, and it's one that I tend to use quite a bit on my drums, again, because it gives that real kind of roughness, that kind of dirtiness. You can save about 40 to about 50% on Baby Audio at the moment. Best place to get them is Plugin Boutique. You can get them around about the same price, but obviously you get the free plugin with it and the virtual cache. You can get Crystalline for $45, Smooth Operator for $40, iHeart NY for $40, and TAIP for $40 as well. They're all great plugins. I definitely recommend trying out the trial versions of all of them. You can get them from Plugin Boutique or from the Baby Audio website. And seeing as I mentioned it, I thought I'd check out, see if Oak Sound Soothe 2 was on Black Friday deal, and it's not at the moment. That's not to say it won't drop on Friday, and if it does go into the sale, it's probably a good time to buy it. Usually it's £170. It probably goes down to about 120, 130. I haven't seen it any lower than that, but it's usually a really good time to buy it because this is an expensive plugin. It's worth it. I've used it on many of my tracks. It's great for taming those harsh frequencies on vocals and on drums. Definitely worth it. However, wait for the sale because you will save quite a bit of money on this plugin. Next up is XLN Audio and their amazing drum sequencer XO. This is a plugin that I totally slept on when it first came out, and honestly I picked it up in the sales last year I think, and since then it's transformed how I make my drums. Pretty much all of my drums start off with XO. XO is basically a sample finder and a sequencer all in one. The way you find drum samples is amazing and it makes it so much quicker. As I say, it's really transformed how I make my beats, and at the moment it's on 50% off. You can either get it from their website for about 65 euros or from Plugin Boutique again for 65 euros. That's the cheapest I've ever seen XO, so if it's something you've been considering getting, I definitely recommend picking it up now. Again, there's a trial version, you can give it a try if you want to, but definitely get on that sale price because I never see it going any lower than that. Also, while you're there, definitely check out RC-20, probably one of the most talked about effects plugins out there. Now, I made a big mistake with this one. I got this through Splice's Rent to Buy, and that's not to say that Rent to Buy isn't great. However, I paid full retail price for it in the Rent to Buy. However, a couple of months later it went on sale and I missed out on a whole big savings. So when it goes on sale, if you're thinking about buying it, definitely get hold of it then. Again, this is also on 50% off, $48.99. It's a great price and it's one of those plugins again that I use pretty much in every project. Another plugin company that I really love, Klevgrand. They make some really interesting plugins with some amazing interfaces. One of my favorites is Fosfat. It's called a transient fertilizer. What does that mean? Well, basically you feed any kind of signal into it and it allows you to add extra sub into it or extra top end, so white noise into it. I tend to use this on my kick drums if I want to give it a bit more weight or a bit more top end. Works really quickly and easily, and it's really a steal at 60% off at the moment for $15. Another one of theirs that I love, Skaka. It's a shaker instrument. Basically, whenever I need shakers for my tracks, I turn to this. You actually play it as an instrument and you can kind of sequence the shaker to be exactly how you want it. You pitch it, you choose the sequence for it. You can really make it fit your tracks. And also Korvpressor as well. It's a compressor, but the interface for it is so interesting and easy to use. It really kind of tells you exactly what it's doing. All of these are on offer. Again, you can get all these at Plugin Boutique at a really good price, between 40 and 50% off here. Even Fosfat, you're 63% off. It's an absolute steal. Here's another plugin that I completely slept on when it first came out, Bassroom by Master in the Mix. Basically what it allows you to do is match the bottom end of your track to a reference track. I remember getting the trial version of this when it first came out, playing with it for 2 or 3 seconds and then thinking it just wasn't working or I didn't like the interface of it. However, I decided to give it another go recently, and all of a sudden I kind of understood what it was actually doing, and actually it really transformed the bottom end of my tracks. It's been out way too long for me to do a video on it now, but honestly I wish I had have done because it really does work very well. Here's another really interesting, relatively new plugin that I picked up recently, Morph EQ by Minimal Audio. I did a video on it and honestly it's fantastic. It's really interesting. It's halfway between a filter and an EQ. Basically you set it up like an EQ, so you create a shape and then you create another shape with that EQ and you can morph between the two. You can automate between the two, so it does act like a filter almost, but you got kind of the control of an EQ. It's really fantastic. Again, this is on offer for about 25% off. You can get it for 32 euros at Plugin Boutique. Now this isn't exactly a plugin, it's actually a piece of software, but I reviewed this on my channel recently. Mixed in Key Live is a little app that sits at the top right hand corner of your screen and it will detect whatever the key and BPM is of whatever you've got playing. This is really handy if you're remixing something or if you've been given the stems for something and you just want to know what key something is in or what BPM it is. Very, very cool little plugin. And Mixed in Key have got a big sale on at the moment, 50% off of everything they've got on their website. So for example, you can pick up Mixed in Key Live for $24. Now this is only Mac only. However, if you're on a PC, you can get Mixed in Key Studio Edition, which is actually a plugin which sits within your DAW, and whatever you feed into it, it'll tell you whatever key it is. And of course, that's also in the 50% off sale as well, so you can pick that up for $29. And of course, there's also all the DJ software within here as well, Platinum Notes and Mixed in Key 10. Both of them I use and I love, both on 50% off as well. Now here's a plugin that's brand new. It's not fully out yet. In fact, it's actually in public beta, but you can buy it early and get half off. I've actually been sent a copy to play around with and do a review for it on my channel, which I will be doing within the next few weeks, but it's really interesting. It is a filter, but it's also a self-resonating filter as well. It's just so complicated. I haven't been able to get my head around it fully just yet. I haven't had the time to, but that will be coming up within the next few few weeks, but I can say it's a really fun plugin to play around with, so definitely stay tuned for that video. Now here's a plugin that I bought quite recently, Ultravox by Leapwing. Now I bought this purely because a lot of people were saying how good the compression was within this. This plugin is basically a very simple plugin for treating vocals. It has 4 controls within it. You have compression, gate, harmonics, and air. Really simple to use, but that compressor is really smart. It really kind of levels out vocals quite nicely, and I've been really enjoying using it. So I definitely recommend downloading the trial version and see if it works for you. At the moment it's on a really good offer, down from £60 to £35. It's quite a good saving. I've also kind of been looking at Route 1, which is a way of kind of treating your low end. I have a lot of tools for this purpose, so I'm not quite sure whether I'm going to go ahead and buy this. I'm still trialing it out, but maybe I might just buy this in the Black Friday sales. And of course, Ableton have their yearly Black Friday sale with pretty much 20% off everything on their website, from Ableton Live, the software, through to all their packs, and even on Push as well, their hardware controller. This is a really good time to upgrade your version of Ableton Live. All you need to do is log into their website and it'll actually show you the different upgrade offers they've got. This is how I upgraded my Ableton Live. I actually started out with Ableton Intro, I upgraded to Standard, and then to Suite. I did it bit by bit. Another big company with their usual yearly Black Friday sale, Native Instruments, have up to 75% off. There's so much within here to go through, but I'm just going to pick out some of the stuff that I really love. For example, Massive X is a huge synth with massive kind of sound designing possibilities. That's 50% off at the moment. Also Super 8, that's 50% off as well. This is an amazing little synth that I use quite a bit. It really does have that kind of lovely vintage polysynth kind of sound. I turn to that quite a bit. And of course the original Massive. This is just a staple for me. I've been using Massive for absolutely years, and there's just so many presets that you can buy all across the web for it as well. Next up, Arturia. They've got their usual Black Friday sale on, and they pretty much always do 50% off for Black Friday. So you can buy things like the V Collection, something I bought last year and I've been using absolutely loads. If you've bought anything of theirs, don't forget to log in because you will get a discounted rate on top of that Black Friday discount. Now they don't have 50% off everything, just mainly their V Collection and Pigments, but the V Collection is a massive collection of synths. I've really enjoyed using it since I bought it. For example, the Juno 6, I absolutely love playing around with that, and the Jupiter 8. However, the one I've been using mostly within this collection is the DX7. It's a really faithful recreation of the DX7. If you've heard any organs within my tracks in the last 6 months, most likely it's from the B3 as well. It's a brilliant, very versatile kind of organ. And also the Stage 73, lovely kind of Rhodes emulation. It is still quite expensive, but you're getting a hell of a lot of synths for that money. You can get it at 50% off at Plugin Boutique for about £260. As I say, 50% off. It is still quite a bit of money, £260 there, but you are getting a lot of synths for your money. My best advice is to listen to all the demos of all the synths within there, and if you can hear yourself using some of those synths within your tracks, then maybe it is going to be worth the money. For example, when I came to buy this, I was listening to all the demos and I could hear maybe 4 or 5 of the synths within that whole collection that I probably would use, and every other synth that's included within there I've been playing around with after I bought it, and some of those have really surprised me and I've started using some of those within my tracks as well. Next up, Izotope, and they have loads of offers on for Black Friday. Of course, Izotope you know from making Ozone, Neutron, and a whole load of other great plugins that a lot of producers talk about. There are so many different bundles you can get within here. For example, this holiday bundle, it includes Ozone 10 elements, Neutron 4 elements, and a few other ones within there. That's not bad for $49. However, there are a few other deals that I think are really good as well. For example, Neoverb. This is a reverb that I really enjoy using. It's got a really interesting interface. It has their whole assistant thing that's kind of built into most of the Izotope products, so it will listen to whatever you put it on and it will kind of suggest settings for you. I find this a really great starting point, and for $25 I think that's a really great price. There's also a couple of other bundles on here that I think are really good value. For example, the Mix and Master bundle. This includes Ozone 10 Advanced, so the advanced version actually gives you everything that's in Ozone 10, but you can take each one of those modules and use it on different tracks if you want to. So for example, on my drums I tend to use the imager that's included with Ozone 10 on its own on my drums, just to make them a little bit wider on their own. You've also got Neutron 4. Again, Neutron I use all the time. Tonal balance control, which I really underestimated for a long time, but it really helps you get that right mix on your tracks. And then you've also got Neoverb and Nectar 3 Plus in there as well. That's really good value for $350. However, the bundle that I actually have myself is the music production suite, and this pretty much includes most of the stuff from Izotope. The only thing you're not kind of getting is the more advanced version of RX10, which, to be honest, I don't really use all that much anyway. And you get all of this for $500. Now this is quite a bit of money, but you're also getting quite a bit of software. So everything in that mix and master bundle, but you also get Melodyne within there, Vocal Synth, the RX10 as I say, and then a few other plugins within there as well. But I didn't actually just buy this straight out. I actually upgraded from another Izotope product. If you've bought any Izotope products in the past, you can log into the Izotope website and go to the loyalty offers page within there. This gives you discounted upgrades to pretty much everything on their website. And this is how I got Music Production Suite. I think I started with Ozone and then I upgraded from Ozone to the Music Production Suite. And again, you can get all of these deals on the Plugin Boutique website and earn yourself virtual cash if you buy through here as well. And they have got upgrade paths from pretty much anything. So if you have any Izotope product, you can find a discounted upgrade product within here. Next up is a plugin you probably haven't heard me talk about before, Dopamine or Dopamine by Overloud. This is a plugin that I got suggested by a fellow producer. He said it works amazingly on vocals, so I gave it a go. I gave the trial a go, and honestly I loved it. I bought it straight away. Now this is a really hard one to kind of describe. It's like a bit of saturation, a bit of tape emulation, a bit of excitement, but it works really, really well on vocals, and I was so glad that I bought it. Now I bought it on sale, however it wasn't discounted then as much as it is now, which annoys me a little bit, but I still love the plugin, so I have to forgive it. It's usually 140 euros, but right now it's 69 euros. That's 50% off. That's a really great price for this plugin. I definitely recommend getting the trial of this and giving this a go because it works really well on vocals. And if you like it after that, then definitely get it at the moment because that's the cheapest I've actually ever seen it. Next up is the company that is always having a sale, Waves. They have their Black Friday sale on right now, and whether those prices are any different to what they are normally is anybody's idea, but I wanted to kind of pick out some of my favorite Waves plugins and the ones that I use all the time, the ones that I kind of consider almost essentials. First up is one of the ones that I use all the time, Vocal Rider. This is something I use on my vocals. Whenever I have vocals recorded, I will put this on those vocals because what it will do is it will keep the vocals at a consistent volume. It's not like compression, it's not compressing the vocals at all, it's just lifting the bits that are too quiet and taking the volume down on the bits that are too loud. It just gives you a kind of nice average to start with. Next up is J37 TAIP, a tape saturation plugin that I put on my drums and sometimes even on the master channel just to give it that nice little bit of warmth in very kind of subtle amounts. Another plugin that I tend to use on my vocals quite a bit, Greg Wells VoiceCentric. I don't tend to use the delay, doubler and reverb in it, but the intensity dial is great for compression and as I say, it works really well on your vocals. Harmony is another relatively new plugin from Waves and I absolutely love this. Basically you can feed a vocal into it and generate harmonies for that vocal. I did a whole video on it and I found myself using this plugin quite a bit. Hopefully I won't overuse it going forward, but I do really like it. It produces some really interesting results. Now the NS1 noise suppressor. This is a plugin that I use quite a bit. Any kind of audio that I've got that is kind of noisy in the background noise or rustling or even just kind of white noise in the background, this is really great at suppressing it. Very simple, one single control. You just increase it for the more kind of suppression that you want and it works really, really, really well. Next up, another plugin that works really well on vocals, the CLA 2A compressor. This is quite a famous type of compressor and pretty much most of the main plugin manufacturers do a version of this compressor, and this one works really nicely. Again, it's all about kind of leveling out those vocals and kind of bringing a richness to them as well. Then there's H delay. Now this is quite a famous delay that a lot of producers use. use, and I've had it for quite a while. I bought it a while ago thinking I was going to use it more, and really it's kind of just sat in my kind of browser, and I haven't really kind of put it on that many tracks, but I have just recently started using it, and now I kind of get what people are going on about. It's just my own bad for not actually using it as much as I should do. And then we have Renaissance Bass. This is an amazing plugin for bass. If you have a sub bass which you can't really hear on normal speakers, maybe you can hear it on your studio speakers quite well, but not on normal speakers, this will actually generate upper harmonics for your bass and allow it to be heard through smaller speakers. At the moment you can save 65% on that and get it for $28. However, I have noticed there is a bundle for the Renaissance plugins. So Renaissance Maxx for $80 actually includes 10 plugins. So you have your Renaissance Bass, but you also have a whole load of other plugins within here. You have the Renaissance Vox, which is a great compressor for vocals. You also have a de-esser in there and the guitar version of the Renaissance Bass, along with a more kind of general compressor in there as well. So this is a really great little bundle. And I think if I didn't already have Renaissance Bass and Renaissance Vocal, I probably would get this bundle. So those are all the deals that I've found so far. Keep your eyes peeled because there probably will be more dropping on Friday and over the weekend going into Cyber Monday as well. As I say, all of these plugins I already own and I use within my productions. You'll find that I've covered most of them in videos on this channel, so click on my profile and you'll be able to see all those videos. Remember, only just pick up the plugins that you feel that you really need. Don't just get them because they're on offer. Trial versions are great for this because you can really give them a good go first. Hopefully this has been helpful though. Let me know in the comments below what you picked up in the Black Friday sales.
Right now, I'm gonna bring it back to the funk.